Welcome to this episode of Your Black Education. I'm Roosevelt Mitchell III, and I'm here with Ms. Rosita Lewis, the director of that
Trio Student Support Service.
Trio Student Support Service here at the university. And we're here today talking about the importance of writing. So, can you explain to me some of the issues that you see with students at this level in their writing?
Unfortunately, we are in an area where we are an institution that feeds from our area district high schools, and they're underprepared. So underprepared means that when the students transfer to the community college, they find that they are in developmental courses as opposed to writing 100, English 100, 102 in the upper levels of writing. And even when they've completed sometimes the 102, they're still not as proficient as they could be. So we have began to address that situation.
So how big is this gap coming from high school in their writing to college? Is it a wide gap? Is it a gap that can be fixed over a semester in one prerequisite class, or?
That depends on the student and how much weight they put on it. Most students will tell you, especially when they're new, freshmen, coming in from the secondary institutions over the summer period, they already believe that they write well. Some of them have graduated with honors, and so they're aghast to find that their scores were low on the accuplacer that we give our students. I'm sorry, it's no longer the accuplacer, but it's the compass assessment, and they're not happy with that, and they don't want to be in the class. It depends on how they score. It could be they can come into an 020 level or an 030. 030 means that they're just about there. They just need to tweak some of the things that they don't know, didn't remember, and brush up their skills. 020 means we need to go back and redo what writing is about and why it's important, and then have them do that on a regular basis. So it could 020 means one semester, 030 means another. So it could be a year before they get into the 100 level, depending on where they test, which is why we want them to take the classes serious, take the assessment seriously. Oftentimes students take the assessment and don't even study for it. We always, if they talk to us as Trio first, we always let them know, prepare, go take a look at what you're going to be tested over before you take the exam.
Right. So how long have you been at this job, or how long have you been in this field?
This has been, this is my 12th year.
Your 12th year. Okay. Do you think social media and the texting and the shorthand texts and the acronyms and all the bad habits that kids possess these days in texting, do you think that has an effect on their natural writing skills? Or?
Most assuredly they do. You get in the habit of writing things in brief. It was like in the old days when people did shorthand. It was easier for them to take notes with a language that nobody knew except those who took that course.
Right.
But it was a quick way to write it down. I worked for the airline for a number of years, and we used to send texts across the world finding out what time flights left a certain station overseas within the United States and etc. And it was all in brief, but we knew what that shorthand meant. But it took you, if you did it long enough, you would forget what's the real word. How do you really spell it? So it can hinder it, yes.
Okay.
So that it may have a part.
So when some students come here and they are underprepared, mm-hmm. and they take these courses, mm-hmm. how is the success rate? Do every student who leave here fully prepared to write a novel or go on to a four-year university?
The success rate is low, and I don't want to speak specifically to any institution's success rates thereof. I think that from my reading, a lot of community colleges and even the 4 years struggle with students and writing. So it is a challenge, and that's something that we are trying to work going forward, and they were working on it when I came, and we're still working on it. And it's collaborating with the secondary schools and the institutions of the 2 and 4 year caliber for higher ed to try to meet the problems where they are. I think probably the best way is to help the students understand that they need to be motivated by wanting to do better themselves. Regardless to what the test scores were when they were in high school or when they started, they have to acknowledge that I'm taking charge of my own growth and development because I want a degree. And if I want a degree, I will do all those things that are required. And the general education component does that for you.
But how do we teach this grit or this ambition in students? As an educator, I always wrestle with that. How, because a lot of times, you know, you and I as educators, we want it worse than the students.
True.
Right? Because we can see their potential, but they can't see it, and we want it worse. So how can we teach that grit or that ambition for a child to understand that in whatever you do, there's reading involved, there's writing involved, whether you're texting, whether you reading a stop sign or reading a yield sign or, you know, reading a magazine, you know, right? So how do we instill that grit in them or that ambition in the short period that they're in college to say, hey, you need to take writing serious, if you know, more serious than everything else, because you know literacy relates to everything.
Well, one of the things that we're doing this semester is collaborating, and that is TRIO with our campus partners of various programs, trying to get and faculty is allowing students to have the opportunity to be coached by faculty.
Wow.
Specifically for completing applications and writing essays. That's different than sitting in a classroom. Some of these students may very well be a former student or a current student of the faculty that will be participating, but nevertheless they'll have a coach. And these will be students who are in that ready to graduate, about to transfer mode. We want them specifically because we want to make sure that they're doing an effective job and that they're comfortable with what and understand what the importance of the writing and why they're completing the applications, writing the essays in a way that evidences that they have learned.
Exactly.
So that's where we are, and we do that. We're doing that. As a matter of fact, we have a workshop today in regard to this very topic, where we will take those students who are in the readiness to transfer. We'll be graduating either this fall or in the spring. Those will be the ones that will be coached by the faculty, and we have select faculty who have identified that they would be willing to help in this initiative.
Okay.
Those that are not ready, not prepared, but they want to get there, TRIO and other programs such as our Access program, our library, we will have tables signing up the rest. And we will do group, probably group presentations with these students to help them understand the importance and value of learning to write better now. Probably one of the biggest things I can say, and I know this from teaching, is that students don't proofread their work. So if they would proofread their work and make sure that it's sounding the way that they want it written, then they can go with the grammar.
Right.
So
right.
Proofread your work to make sure, but those are things that we can do with the larger group, but we want to start it off with those that are ready to move forward. We have one other initiative that we'll be doing in a few more weeks with our leadership campus organizations such as Phi Theta Kappa, such as our student government, such as our campus peer leaders and campus ambassadors. These are leadership teams that are more or less on our campus that show students when you win at the game of academics, these are places you can be. And that boils down, in my opinion, to motivation. Students need to be motivated and encouraged that they belong and that you can do it.
Right.
You may not be able to do it now, but you can. When you feel that way and you see your peers doing that and they work and they mentor you as peer mentors, then we can get you to the stage of then developing that help that you need. While it will come professionally, you'll also get it from your peers.
Right.
And then the outcome of those things will be the accomplishments that students will make with their personal and academic goals. So that's where we're headed.
And that's fantastic because, you know, I always give this analogy to people. I always say that even Michael Jordan had a coach, right? No matter how great a talent you are, or even if you are ambitious, you still need that coach to coach you up and to motivate you. So I salute what you all are doing here and what you all are building, because I think that every university needs to have coaches to students just for the smaller group, right? Because you know you go to some universities and they're large in number, and there's no relationship from the faculty to the students. So, and you know, it's students learn a lot when it's more of a tight knit community. You know, so yeah, you know, I really appreciate what y'all are doing here, and I truly believe that will work. You know, workshops like these. So, how often will you all have these workshops?
This is a new initiative collaborating with other partners on the campus this semester, but we intend to do it again in the spring with outcomes. Students need to see the results. And the feedback that we get from the workshops that we do this semester, along with those that we do in the coming semester, that feedback will help us redo our strategies or tweak what needs to be tweaked, strengthen what was already working. That type of an effort and initiative is what's there.
Okay. And to wrap things up, what advice would you give parents about having, well, any advice would you give parents about how to get their children grammar writing skills to college level before entering college?
Have them participate in our organizations and activities where they have to speak. There are plenty of opportunities in your Girl Scout clubs, church organizations, community-based organizations, girls club, boys club, where students have the opportunity to not only organize activities such as physical education, but they have opportunities to write scholarships, to win money, to go to school, to do different things. This pushed them to do those types of things. The more you speak, the more you become conscious of how well you're speaking, and then translating that on paper. You will have a sensibility of wanting it to be what you have said, the way it's supposed to be said and stated, and that you understand it. So you're developing comprehension, understanding, leadership, and motivation, teamwork, and all of those skills come in one, and they see it as play. But later, as they get closer to graduating from high school, they'll find that, oh wow, this is really serious. Because there's lots of our organizations that offer scholarships to young people wanting to go to college, and using all the skills that they've learned over those years goes into play at that time. So parents can support by encouraging them to participate, and then read what they're writing. Just have them read something to you, write something to you. You may not be an educator, and it doesn't require that, but you will know whether the word is probably spelled right or wrong, or if it's making sense. That's that second set of eyes and ears, and then they know that you're engaged in their learning, and they'll want to do better as well.
Right, right, because you're raising the bar for them.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode of Your Black Education. Until next time,
always.
be blessed and be encouraged.
Thank you.